Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for the week of February 9th. You have this seduction card. It says passion and romance lie in wait. You have this harlequin. It says true feelings are masked. So here you go. I mean, if you're looking for love, could be love, but someone needs to open up here with that masked card. I've said it to you before. We have Neptune finally in Aries to stay forever until, obviously it'll be many years before it comes back to Pisces, thank God. And, Neptune leaving Pisces is kind of like the mask coming off. So if you're interested in a person or something, it might be time to make a move or get attention in that situation. So, and trust me, I get tons of comments from people that say, I don't want to make the move. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's a really good person that's supposed to be for you, are you literally just going to, allow your own basically ego to prevent you from having something that could be really good for you? It's like, are you seriously going to avoid making a move on a person because you don't think you should, when it could be like the love of your life? I mean, I don't know, seems a little closed-minded to me, but whatever, it's your life, you can do whatever you want. Trust me, I've been working on a cat food company, chrisscatfood.com. I support cat ladies, so I don't know, it'll be perfectly fine for me, but you do you, boo. You have the Ace of Cups, the Page of Wands, and the Queen of Cups. Ace of Cups could be your emotions overflowing, being very happy. So again, definitely good time to make a move. And again, I'm not even saying you have to like ask a person out, but the star wants you to get some sort of attention. So like flirting, learning how to flirt. I realize people are really bad at flirting nowadays. So, and there's no shame in it, right? We're not all natural born charmers like me, right? So sometimes we have to learn, like, we got to like bump into people. We have to, chat them up. We have to talk about whatever they're buying at the store when we see them, stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe I'll put on a master class about it, but little things I think would make a big difference here. I also think that you're getting more into the flow. It is an amazing time to get into the flow. The Ace of Cups is all about doing more of the things that put you into the flow. The more of the flow you get into, the better. I think one of the biggest challenges right now is it's very hard to get into the flow. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. We all have responsibilities. I think that like the pressure is increasing. So it's like, obviously, if you have to like pay your bills, which like we all do, and you have a job, but it's like maybe you have to, work a lot at the job, and maybe something else in your life creates flow. It can be like hard to find that time, right? But I do think that any little bit matters, right? So even if we can only get into the flow for a few minutes a day or whatever, it's like, over time that will add up. And I would definitely encourage you to think about it. You have the Page of Wands. You have like more adventure, more excitement. This is going to come up for you a lot, Gemini, for sure. Especially when Uranus enters into your sign in April. We're going to see a lot of this. And again, not to beat a dead horse here, but as I've said to you many times, like, I think that it's all about inputs for you, Gemini, and getting as many inputs as you possibly can. It's almost like you're turning yourself into the internet. It's like, here we have AI that knows everything. It's like, Gemini, I literally think your brain could become like AI, over these years with Uranus and Gemini. And no, I'm not talking about installing a microchip in your body or something like that. I'm talking about literal knowledge that you could gain and connections that you have the opportunity to make. That's what will make you very successful. Again, I'm very, very passionate about this for you, Gemini, because I care about you and because I'm a Gemini moon. So I also am going to be taking advantage of this energy, but I literally think it's the thing that will make Gemini the most successful. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but going out and basically having adventures, experimenting, going on adventures, traveling places, learning from people, watching videos, watching, podcasts about things that you're interested in, and then making those connections. Like I said, it's going to be super powerful for you in general. You have the Queen of Cups, which is about following your heart. Uranus just went direct, by the way. So a couple, depending on when you're watching this, a couple days ago probably. And, Uranus direct in Taurus is all about following your heart. And the Ace of Cups, again, wants you to overflow. And so a great way to get into the flow is to do things that fulfill your heart. And that's what I would be focusing on with this first row. So let's clarify this and let's see what's going on. With the, here you go. Knight of Cups, Knight in Shining Armor, for sure. Like I said, I'm not saying you have to like tell this person you're in love with them or anything, Gemini. It could be the other person as well. Again, take it how it resonates. You know, it's like obviously if you don't have a person or don't have a person in mind, then maybe this person needs to make a move. I feel like they will if it's the other person. But if it's you that needs to make the move, then, you know, again, I think it would be worth it. Like I said, I think something small, you know, chatting this person up, you know, whatever, talking to them, doing something, you know, if you see them in the store, hitting them with your shopping cart, you know, throwing something at them, something, right? With the Page of Wands, you have the Three of Wands, a very expansive time at this time. We are in a time of expansion, believe it or not. I was just talking to Aquarius about Jupiter being retrograde, and I've never talked about it, really, this retrograde in Cancer, but I felt I was like a motor mouth speaking to Gemini in the Aquarius reading about it. Because, I don't know, it just like hit me today for them, and it's kind of like popping into my head for you as well. And what I was saying to them, and I'll say to you, is that Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, it's kind of like sometimes we look at retrogrades as the opposite sign. So it's almost as if Jupiter is in Capricorn, and Jupiter in Capricorn is at its fall. It's like falling in the chart when it's in Jupiter is in Capricorn, right? And so I think that it can create this energy where it's like we start to expand and then we contract. You know, it's like we start to grow and then something happens that makes us pull in. You know, it could be something that makes us nervous, or, you know, it's like maybe we are working on something expansive and people say something to us and, you know, it makes us kind of contract in because maybe they criticize us or whatever. But again, it doesn't even have to be people. It could be like the results you're getting. It's like maybe you start getting a result and then it contracts, right? And so what I feel here is that it's like we have to expand past that point of contraction, and we have to do something to kind of like create a breakthrough, basically. And I feel like a lot of you could be doing that here, Gemini. I'm not sure. I don't really have an answer yet on how you're creating the breakthrough, but we'll keep it in mind throughout this reading, and we'll see what comes up. With the Queen of Cups, you have the Queen of Swords. Could be a little part of the breakthrough, I think, is following your heart. Again, the Queen of Swords, she is clear for the first time. So you could be finally getting clarity on your heart, like what your heart actually wants. I do feel that's like a small part of it. And again, I think heart-based energy is very important, but I'm more talking about like that point of contraction and, you know, that breakthrough moment that you need to have. I feel like following your heart will help a little bit. Next in the, here you go. Didn't even see it. In your next row for what's coming in for you, you have this Capricorn card. It says achieve on it. You have the solar calm. It says clarify. So it's funny that I brought that up with the whole, you know, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer kind of being like Jupiter in Capricorn. The thing about Jupiter in Capricorn as well is that it does expand our desire for achievement. It makes us want to strive for things. It makes us really want to push for things. The trick with Jupiter in Capricorn is that we probably shouldn't be pushing for things. We should be coming up with like routines. We should be coming up with a process that makes it easier for us, right? And I've been talking about this a lot over the past couple weeks. It's been popping into my head. So I think that instead of like push, it should be more like I follow this process to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. You have the Solar Calm card that says clarify on it. You have the Star and the Queen of Swords. Both cards are cards of great clarity. And so the Star, and you also have the Ace of Swords, which is laser-like focus, being very, very focused on one thing. With the Star, we need to be focused on a North Star goal. You know, we need to have that guiding light in life where everything we do pushes us closer to the star. And a lot of you could be thinking about that, like trying to find, you know, it's kind of like a little bit of a purpose almost, where you kind of create this big vision for your life, and that becomes your focus. And I feel a lot of you could be doing that with the Star at this time, which is good. The other thing I'm getting on the Star, and all this clarity that's coming up in your reading, is that, you know, sometimes the Star represents getting a top-down view of your life. It represents like looking at your life from a bird's eye view. We have this bird right here. It's the ibis. It's the bird of knowledge and wisdom. And so it can say that sometimes with the Star, we need to like zoom out on our life. And when we look down on our life, we can see all the moves we made, all the things we did, and then things start making sense. And that, in a weird way, that's kind of what I feel on the Star for you this week. It's like things are making sense. Or the things you've been through are starting to make sense. You have the Four of Swords. Yeah, like I said, I think it would be a good week to not necessarily push. That doesn't mean you can't work or if things are going well. If you're in the flow, then absolutely keep pushing. But if you're struggling, I think that taking a break, removing the resistance, right, resting, relaxing, recovering, that's what will really bring the blessings into you. This person here is blessing this other person in this stained glass window. So the Four of Swords wants you to kind of like get into this position of receiving, which I feel I've said to you before, Gemini, recently, and I definitely feel being more in receptive mode would be good. You have the Two of Wands. Two of Wands is about taking the lead. Again, we have a lot of air energy. Pluto in Aquarius. Uranus will be moving into your sign. So I think that a lot of you could be taking the lead on things that you want to create. And again, whether you want it or not, definitely going to be getting more attention. I think all air signs are going to be dealing with that. Is it a bad thing? No, I really don't think it's bad, but you are going to be standing out more, which could lead to more attention, which could lead to more criticism. But again, it's like, I think that you need to realize like the criticism is like, will be like 1%. It's like 99% of what you receive will probably be praise. But I think it's very easy to focus on the 1%, right? It's like they call it the vocal minority, right? And so if you're working on things and people are criticizing you, I would ignore it. And again, we want to, like I said, this reading wants you to push past that point of contraction where you kind of shrivel up. With the star, you have the Queen of Pentacles. I think I said this to you as well. I'm having deja vu in your reading that, the Queen of Pentacles can be resourcefulness, and the Queen of Pentacles could say that you finally have or are receiving the resources necessary to accomplish something. So if you've been trying to do something and maybe you need money to be able to do it, it's like you could be making the money, or you could be improving your finances to have the money to do something. But again, it doesn't have to be money. It could be anything. With the Four of Swords, yes, Seven of Swords, I was waiting for it. Again, this is going to be your favorite card over the next, 7 years. So, Seven of Swords, again, he's going to war, but he's just doing something differently, right? He's stealing the swords instead of going to war. So I think that a lot of you, again, being tactical, coming up with different solutions to things that you're dealing with would be a good idea as well. The other thing is, with the Seven of Swords, he's carrying these swords by their tips. So the Seven of Swords can represent doing something delicately or doing something carefully. Sometimes I just think the Seven of Swords is saying, basically keep things to yourself until they're done. So if you're working on, especially for those of you that are working on projects or businesses, or anything important, it might be more important to keep it to yourself, because again, if you share it too early and you get criticism, that might cause you to contract. So I think this is saying, keep things to yourself for a little bit. With the Two of Wands, you have the Chariot. Pretty good. This is like, definitely we have double victory here with this Ace of Swords. The Chariot can be charging towards a victory or big success. And so I think there's like a victory coming in for you. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Law of Attraction card and this Higher Power card. Yeah, I do feel it's a good time to attract things into your life. It's like, but the Four of Swords would say you're more tapped in. He's like resting, relaxing, recovering, or meditating. The Four of Swords, he might be taking time to really tap into how he feels about whatever it is that he wants. And so I feel like, sure, this could be talking about attracting things into your life, but I feel like it's more flow. Like I said, with that Ace of Cups, it's more about, getting into the energy of it, of the thing you want, and being in the flow. That will probably help more. And it's also about like not struggling is kind of what I feel. It's like more saying, it's more about getting away from that striving energy, like I was saying, and getting into the process. You have the Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune. Page of Pentacles could be like good news, and you have the Ace of Swords as well. So both cards can represent like good news, or receiving approval for something or whatever. So I do feel good news here. Page of Pentacles could also be a new person. So again, if you want love looks pretty good in this reading. Like I've said to others, The readings lately have been very good for love, and I think it's because this eclipse that we're going to have on the 17th, which is soon, is conjunct Venus, so that could definitely bring in like a fated connection. I also feel this is just going to be good for you in communication. I've talked to you before about how important your communication is going to be over the coming years, with Uranus in your sign. So you really could be standing out for your ideas through sharing your ideas or communicating with the world. And again, we can communicate with the world in a million different ways. It doesn't even have to be your words, like the way we dress, the way we look, the things we do, the actions we take. Those are all communication. So, again, I wouldn't be paranoid about it, but I would definitely think about it. Like, how do I want to be seen is the question I would be answering here, Gemini. I think that could also help lead to a breakthrough. You have the Ace of Swords again, which is a victory or big success coming in for you. I do feel like you're overcoming an obstacle here. The sword is above the mountains on the Ace of Swords, and it represents overcoming an obstacle. So you could be overcoming some sort of obstacle that's been in your way for a long time. The Ace of Swords, usually we have to like cut one thing out so we can have something better. And definitely with an eclipse coming up, eclipses ask us to make space for something better. And so if if you feel like you need to walk away from something or cut something out, it'll probably be a good thing with the Ace of Swords. The other thing that's important with the Ace of Swords is that we live our truth, and that is definitely popping into my head. It seems to me like it's a time where we should be looking at things we're doing that are stealing energy from us. Like the devil has come up quite a bit over the past like couple months, really. And, really since like December, I think, or the end of December. And so I do feel we should make sure we're not doing things that are draining us, stealing our energy, all that other stuff. And the Ace of Swords is a really good card for removing those things from your life. You have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune can be a change in your fortunes here, Gemini, and I feel pretty good about this. The Wheel of Fortune, I think right now, in 2026, wants us to create momentum. I've been getting a lot of messages of momentum in 2026, and you have the Chariot as well. And so sometimes the Wheel of Fortune can start a little bit slow, where we have to like take steps to get that wheel spinning forward. But the more steps we take, the faster the wheel spins, the more good fated things can happen for us. And that's really what I would be creating with this Wheel of Fortune energy. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Yep, again, so you have it twice in the same diagonal here. And so this would be about moving towards your heart, like I said, which could be your truth with the Ace of Swords. If you're doing things that you don't absolutely love to be doing, then doing more of what you love could lead to this victory or this success here with the Ace of Swords. I also feel that you could be very intuitive at this time. Two Queen of Cups in your reading. She is very intuitive, and she trusts her intuition over everything else. So, that's what I would do there. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Judgment card. Judgment can be like a wake-up call or a sudden realization. We were talking about breaking through that contraction energy, right? And so the Judgment card can be kind of like a little bit of a breakthrough from that contracting energy. And the Judgment card is kind of like a call. This is your higher self angel. And so sometimes we can receive a call from our higher self, I think, but with the Star card here, Page of Wands as well, this would be, a call from your heart as well with the Queen of Cups. So it's like more of an inspiration. And, if something is contracting and expanding and contracting in your life, I kind of do feel this is saying like, keep going. It's like the universe is just teaching you. It's like those contraction moments are probably teaching you a lesson that you just need to keep pushing past. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Page of Cups. Page of Cups could be love, obviously. So, again, if you're getting into a connection, it could be one of those connections that expands over time. The Wheel of Fortune also could say that it might be, I don't know why I feel this, but I just feel like something might be like a little slow at first, where it's like it's just like the wheel is spinning a little bit slowly. And so it might be like a little bit of a slower connection that kind of picks up over time. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Discovery card. It says there's still an essential piece of the puzzle that you have yet to discover, which is kind of what we were talking about. It says a missing piece of information must fall into place before you will know your next step. We were talking about breaking through that contraction and, kind of like bursting something here. You have this fortune card. It says, when fortunes appear in your life, limitations disappear. As you sit back and watch your dreams manifest before your eyes, you are filled with a profound sense of gratitude and wonder. So we have the Wheel of Fortune. Definitely could be a positive change in your fortunes here. You have the Ten of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, and the Moon. Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family. Like I said, could be a little bit of a, breaking through to the next level here. I still feel, like, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I still feel there will be these moments of contraction, like I said, with whatever you're working on. But, this could be like a new level. It's like maybe normally you've been contracting to here, but it's like now after this reading, it's like you're only contracting to out here. It's like you're finally lessening the contraction. I don't know. That sounds dumb, but that's kind of the feeling I get from your reading. I do feel obviously it's a good thing. Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty. You have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is like stability. And Four of Pentacles, normally I don't really like the Four of Pentacles because it can represent holding on too tightly to the past. But it's coming up in the good stuff. So again, a lot of you could be building a new foundation. You could also just be feeling very secure or securing your finances. There is something about Jupiter retrograde in Cancer as well that I do think is playing into, things that we will see financially. I don't think we're going to see a resolution to this until, maybe like the beginning of 2027, next year. We have a lot of things changing at the beginning of next year as well, but also Jupiter's going to move into Leo this year, and then it's going to retrograde in December, like at the end of December, right? So like maybe next year is when we get a resolution to this like Jupiter retrograde in Cancer energy, if that makes sense. And I do feel like we could see this play out financially. What I said to Aquarius, and again, maybe I should be saying this to everyone, because, I've been talking about financial changes since 2016 because of Neptune and Pisces, and now Neptune's in Aries, and I said that we would see some crazy financial stuff during Neptune, when it moves at the end of Neptune and Pisces, which we basically have, and it's going to get crazier, but it's like the winter. It's like I feel like we're in a winter time where it's like, it's like nothing grows in winter, right? And luckily, it's just a period of time. It's just a season, that we have been in. And I do feel like we are going to get out of it. But, I also feel this looks good. It's like you're creating financial security. You have the Moon. Again, I like the Moon in the good stuff because it can represent clarity or receiving clarity. And, it can represent coming out of a moon period. So if you have been in a period of confusion or lack of clarity, it seems to me like we see a ton of clarity in this reading. So it's like you're getting more clear. Can't make it up. With the Ten of Cups, you have the Devil. Like I said, everybody's had the Devil. I mean, in the eclipse readings I did since like December, everybody's been getting the Devil. Luckily for you, it's coming up in the good stuff, and you have the Ace of Swords. I really do like the Ace of Swords and the Devil because sometimes I feel the Ace of Swords is kind of like cutting the head off the devil. It's like you getting rid of things that are stealing your energy. We were talking about this earlier in the reading. So in the good stuff, this would be good. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Wands. Yeah, good time for you to like be bold, be assertive, really go for what you want. What you want is the flow, the Ace of Cups, right? So that doesn't have to be love. It could be anything that flows in your life. The Devil is the total opposite, right? The Devil steals energy. The Devil is an energy vampire. So I think the more you confidently move towards things that create flow, the better. With the Moon, you have the Star, which is amazing. You have the Star twice in the same diagonal here. So I definitely feel that Geminis are going to be working on some like bigger picture stuff, which is good. And you could be moving towards a more fulfilling life. You have this Vase card that says Secret Admirer. There you go. I think you've had this card with me before. Either you're the secret admirer or you have one, like I said at the beginning of the reading. So definitely a good love reading. You have this Kangaroo. It says, unsettled times need to plan ahead. Yeah, I was just talking about this. I mean, I don't know. We're like in a time of chaos till 2033, so it is what it is. But I wouldn't really worry about it. I think the people that focus on themselves and focus on making the world a better place by being an inspiration are going to be perfectly successful and will be perfectly fine. You have this dog barking. It says, advice from a friend. Really, as I've probably said to you before, really good time for mentors. Really good time to lean on wisdom. People who have that true wisdom, they have experience with whatever they're talking about. And so if you have people like that in your life, getting help would be a good idea. You have this flute. It says disappointment in a friend or a lover. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've said this before as well. I think we're in a time where people are showing us their true colors. I also think it's important to balance this out. It's like, sometimes you can be disappointed by a person, but maybe you're putting too much on them, right? Like a friend or, a family member or something. It's like sometimes I think a person can disappoint us, but really it's just our own expectations that are being disappointed that has nothing to do with them, right? So I think that, yeah, sure. And, if someone is super disappointing, obviously it might be a good time to get them out of your life. But, it's also a good thing to look at your expectations as well. You have this lobster. It says financial pinch. I think money looks fine in this reading, Gemini. Again, I think the one problem for Gemini will be like distraction. So as long as you're not getting distracted and things aren't affecting your work or whatever, you'll be fine. But this looks pretty good, Gemini. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.